Hey guys, and welcome back to the Watch Scientist channel. I'm joined by Chris today.
Hi guys.
It's been a while since we did a video together.
True.
And today is about TGV. I'm sure if you're in the watch world, you heard about TGV. TGV is actually one of the first watch YouTubers that I've watched when I started my watch collecting journey, and I actually met the guy in London in 2019 on a watch meet, and that was such a great experience. He's such a cool dude, honestly. Very, very honest guy. He's just passionate about watches, and it was really nice talking to him. I actually have a picture, I'll send it to you so you can put it into the video.
I'll put it in, yeah.
And on that note, actually, I'm wearing a Steinhardt today. And he kind of got me into Steinhardt watches because that's where I first heard about the brand, and I'll be forever grateful for that because it kind of launched my entire watch collecting journey. So quite a significant YouTuber in that sense for the both of us, actually, and for the channel.
And actually we saw that many of you guys who watch us also watch him, so
exactly,
we thought it would be a great idea to do this.
Yes, so yeah, we're basically reacting to his watch collection, the 2021 state of his collection at the end of the year, so I'm really excited for that. Let's crack on.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my vintage Longines. I don't know how well you can see it here, but it's fitting for this video, I guess.
It's a good looking one.
So let's go with the first one, which is something I have really liked thinking about lately, a vintage dive watch, so a Tudor Submariner, and I think it's a really cool watch. I really like the idea of a little smaller size or a vintage size dive watch. I just think it's a cool thing. I think you enjoy this one too, right?
Yes, I mean, I'm a sucker for dive watches anyways, but I think it's really cool because it does look a bit like a Submariner, obviously, but then you have the triangle indices at the 6 and 9, which makes it a bit more quirky, a bit different, and I love Tudor as a brand. I mean, there's not much more to say, just class. Next up we have one of my favorites. It's the Rolex Day-Date, or as some prefer to say, the Presidential. First of all, I love this watch also because my granddad has quite an old now Day-Date, and I think they just have so much character and they scream success.
Yeah, I love how beat up your granddad's President is.
It's a mess.
It just gives it a very cool aura, I think.
Yeah, it also probably devalues the watch by 50%, but anyways. Nah, but especially he has the linen dial, and I think the way he, like the condition in which his watch is in, it's really good looking still. And it's such a versatile watch, like considering that it is a full yellow gold watch, it's actually still very versatile, and you wouldn't think that if you hear a full gold Rolex, I mean, that's quite in your face usually, but there's something about it that still makes it a little bit under the radar. Obviously the color, it's difficult for it to be under the radar.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a good idea to, when you go gold, go a little smaller size. Because if you have a big gold watch, it's way more in your face, and I think it can look less good on the wrist.
Yeah, absolutely. If I would go for the Day-Date, it's a 36mm. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Next up, we have a vintage Omega. So Chris might have a little bit more to say about that. He's all of a sudden he's into vintage watches much more than I am. So what about this one?
It's gotten a bit crazy, yeah. But I think these Omega Seamasters are great, also first steps into the vintage world, because there's so many of them. And while they don't come very cheap, you can still get a nice vintage Omega Seamaster, which is a name for itself, and for around 500 euros. And I think this is a beautiful example of that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still an Omega. It's a watch with a lot of history. So
yeah. So next up is the Breitling Navitimer, obviously a very, very iconic watch. And while I don't really enjoy these very busy dial Flieger watches, I have to say this more vintage version, I think this is a rather old watch. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't love it, but I would say I can still appreciate the look of this watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a watch for me, but as you said, I think with the history that Breitling has, obviously in aviation, I think it fits the watch really well, and it rocks the look, definitely.
You want to do the Rolex two-tone?
Yeah,
blue
I think
dial.
it's quite cool what TGV has done here. Took obviously the Blue Sea. It's a quite well-known Submariner two-tone with the blue dial. It's usually known to be quite in your face because having blue, steel and gold, it is a combination that is quite strong. I do like how it looks, and the fact that he has a bit more of a vintage one, I don't know if it classifies as a vintage, I don't know if it's that old, but it has the aluminium bezel, so it's not the new ceramic ones. And the fact that he then added a Jubilee two-tone bracelet, which doesn't come obviously with Submariners. The Submariners come on oyster bracelet. I think it gives it an interesting look. I haven't seen it around a lot, and I think it fits the watch well. I usually wouldn't like a Jubilee on a Submariner, but I think what he did here is very tasteful, very nice.
Okay, what else do we have? I guess if we have time, he has a ultra thin Audemars Piguet dress watch. We both didn't really like it. It's a little bit understated, which is actually great for a dress watch, and I do love that it's from Audemars Piguet. But for me, it's a little bit too understated with just the baton hour markers and just the stick hands with no sub-center seconds or something like that. I think it's a little boring. But an ultra-thin, high horology watch is always nice to have, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if it's too simple for you, then I think I don't have to comment on it. Moving on to a watch he co-designed, actually, the Squale. Squale is an interesting brand, and I don't fully get it, if I'm honest. Back in the day when I started watching his channel, Squale was always part of the topic, was always around. He was always very excited about these watches, and I can see why, because I think they are situated between 600 to 1,000 something quid, which is not bad, and I think the quality is great as well, but I have to be honest in saying that I've never seen one up close, but they look good. Divers watches, some a bit more modern, some a bit more vintage looking, and I think, if I can remember correctly, that it is a family owned brand, so that's interesting. I don't know how he got into co-designing these some of these watches.
It's a strange connection.
Yeah, but I think quite cool. Obviously, I would be gassed if I could co-design a watch.
Yeah, he has two versions of the Yema Superman, which I think are very cool vintage style watches, and I think they're all quite water resistant.
Oh yeah, the Superman.
I'm not sure about that. So it's a bronze, and the other one is stainless steel, right? They look.
Yes.
I like them. I would be interested how they look on wrist, because they have these straight kind of lugs that we also see on Steinhardt watches. So sometimes they can be deceiving, the case size, and you wear a size you actually are used to, but then it looks bigger because of straight lugs. And how do you like this one?
For me, the bronze is absolutely beautiful, and it's a proper diver's watch, so it's 300 meters water resistant.
Oh yeah, nice.
And I think it has the bezel lock system. I think it's a bezel lock system that it has on the height of the crown. So a really cool, modern feel, vintage look diver's watch, which I think goes well with pretty much anything. So it's cool. It reminds me a bit of the Longines. What's the name now?
The Skin Diver.
Yeah. There's some elements of that watch which I also really like.
It's also a beautiful watch. Yeah. But I've also heard on that one that it wears bigger than you would expect.
Oh, okay, yeah. Something to keep in mind then. Next one up is the Fortis. So a space inspired watch. I don't know if it has been to space, but that's also one of the other brands that before watching his channel, I never heard about it. Swiss made. And although it's busy, and busy is usually not really my thing, but space is. So seeing like the satellites and like this kind of subdial with the Earth, the blue marble, and then the plain arrow is something that I think is really exciting and different. And I actually would love to have a watch like that in my collection, because there's also a version or serial number of the reduced, of the Omega reduced that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Yeah, it's just a little more colorful, and I think it would be something for you.
That's definitely something that's really, I think, is really cool. Yeah, feeling like.
And I think you could have it alongside your 2021 Speedmaster, because it's something really different with all the colors, and it's a cool watch.
What do you think of this? I know it's too busy for you, but in general, how's your view on something?
Yeah, it's a little too busy for me. I like the Omega Speedmaster reduced version because it just looks kind of very interesting.
It's quite a complicated watch, actually.
Yeah, it also has like a triple date, I think. It's a really interesting piece.
And then a watch I actually have, the Seiko 5. I don't know the exact reference of this, but it's kind of a field pilot type watch. Let me see if I can. And I put it on a kind of crappy leather strap. It looks good. If I'm honest, I haven't been wearing it that much, but it's a good looking thing for £100, honestly.
And then I think the last one we wanted to check out is a Laurier Safari. And Laurier is actually an interesting brand I see come up from time to time. And this is a very interesting version with a kind of copper salmon dial and Explorer numerals, so Arabic numerals at 3, 6 and 9. I'm not a huge fan of the hands, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it really got me thinking about the watch we both got coming up. The Baltic MR01, I think.
Yeah.
Micro Rotor 01. Also with the salmon dial, and I think we're both very excited for the...
Yeah, so basically we both made a bit of an impulse buy, without checking our balance,
But I mean, it's a beautiful looking watch.
Yeah, it's a bit of a no-brainer, considering that they've been, they launched it, then it was sold out, and then they relaunched it for a 10-day period, but then they said that's it. So I think even in terms of value retention, I'm not going into that. I think I'll leave that to Chris for a separate video on that watch, but I think it's a good buy in general. It's a good looking watch.
I mean, it looks amazing. And yeah, like you said, I will do a video about it, why we both thought this was a very good buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's already actually it.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe if you want to see more of this kind of content with the both of us, then let us know down in the description. And also if you think about some other YouTubers or collections that you would like to see reviewed, then hit us up in the comments.
Absolutely. Also, the book that you see behind me, shout out to Mr. David Silva, who have been filming the Rolex video, vintage Rolex video. So if you're into vintage watches, check out the link that pops up here or there. But great book, honestly. I'll leave the link in the description to that one as well. Really, if you're into vintage Rolex watches, it's an amazing book.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for so many views on that last video. It really helped our channel a lot.
For that. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Ciao.